I don't typically agree with anything that right-wing talk show hosts have to say, but I will say this. Erick Erickson, right-wing talk show host, this week issued a statement that I gotta say is absolutely spot on the mark, 100% correct. And he basically said that Matt Gaetz is successful because he's able to fool stupid people in the Republican Party. I mean, those weren't his exact words, but let me read you what Erick Erickson had to say. Here's the trick Matt Gaetz knows that fools the dumbest people. He arranges an outcome, e.g. McCarthy had to rely on Democrats to get the continuing resolution passed. He talks loudly about the outcome he worked to arrange. Then he declares he saw it coming, he was right, so trust him. So basically, what Erick Erickson is saying here is that Matt Gaetz effectively sets up a scenario to make sure that it has to happen. Like, the only way things can go is the way that Matt Gaetz set it up behind the scenes. Then he comes out from behind the curtain and says, folks, I got a big prediction here. This is what's going to happen. And nobody knows that he had set it up behind the scenes because those people weren't paying attention. And then, of course, we watch the machine go into action. It does exactly what Matt Gaetz says. Gaetz again comes out from the curtain and says, I told you, I'm the smartest guy out there. I'm a borderline prophet at this point because I knew things were going to end that way. And that idiot audience out there starts clapping and saying, holy crap, this guy's always right about everything. Wow. It's because they don't peek behind the curtain. Now, the curtain has been pulled back, right? The media has been very open about what has been happening. Okay, with the looming government shutdown we had last week, with McCarthy's ouster, none of that was actually hidden from the American public. It was all very much out there in the open. But Matt Gaetz convinced the dumb people, like Erick Erickson said, that don't worry about all that. No, don't pay attention to that. He's doing what I'm calling a political sleight of hand, right? Like a magician. They're distracting you over here with the shiny thing while they, pull the card that you picked, from their sleeve. But you don't notice they're pulling it out of their sleeve because you were distracted by the lovely assistant walking across the stage. And that is effectively what Matt Gaetz does. But I want to dive a little bit more into this because Matt Gaetz, as Erick Erickson says, fools the dumbest people. He's talking about this district that I live in. And having lived here my whole life, minus a year or two in Alabama, yeah, I think that's pretty much spot on. And that's what, again, I always want to point this out because it's very difficult for people that do not live in these areas to understand how this works. How can people keep voting for these Republicans? It's a question I get all the time. And the answer is very simple, folks. Go visit these areas. They're usually poor. I mean, this is not a wealthy district that I live in. We've got a lot of super wealthy people that fund the Republicans, but then we've got a lot of poor people, people barely scraping by week to week that vote for Republicans because they're not voting based on their economic status. They're not voting based on who's going to make their life better. They're voting based on culture war stupid issues, which is the political sleight of hand. Look over here at this shiny thing. This is abortion. This is LGBTQ. This is drag shows. This is bad books your kids are reading, allegedly. And those voters say, well, that's time. I'll vote against that. And then behind the curtain, what they don't see is all these politicians taking money from the rich people in these areas, putting it in their back pocket and saying, don't worry, I'm going to make sure that you have everything you need, rich people. I'll give lip service to the poor people. I give everything to the rich. That is the political sleight of hand that people like Matt Gaetz and countless other Republicans across the country have used for decades to fool the dumbest people, as Erick Erickson calls them, into voting for them. Ring of Fire has fresh content 7 days a week, so if you want to be reminded about it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the little bell to be notified every time a new video goes up.